My computer outputs sound to both my headphones and some speakers that I've got sitting on my desk, but in order to switch between them, I have to go through an annoying number of menus. So to get rid of all of that malarkey, I just want to use a physical switch instead, so I can choose between headphones and speakers nice and easily. So this whole design is sort of centered around this switch here, which has got 3 positions, an off position in the middle, and then you can choose to the left and to the right. It's also got 2 channels on each switch, so that means that I can get a left and a right channel of the audio, and I think I should be able to just hook all of the grounds up together, I think. I'm gonna have to test that. But yeah, so I've got the absolute perfect switch for this. While I was rummaging around, I also found a perfect bit of cable that I can sacrifice the end of to use as the input, and I was thinking I was going to have to make the entire enclosure for this, but while I was digging around, I also found this old guitar pedal that I'd made. It's like a DIY kit build, and it's absolutely perfect. It's got 2 jack inputs and a position for a switch in a nice little case, and I think this switch should just about fit inside there. So that'll go in that position, and then I'll be able to choose if the audio is going to come out the right or the left, and I think I'm going to have this cable poking out the end, and that's what I'll plug into the computer. Don't know what I'm going to do with all this bit up here, but enclosure's there, switch is there, now we just need to put it all together. Of course, the first thing to do is open up the enclosure and just get rid of everything that I don't need, which is most of it. In fact, the only thing I'm keeping out of all of this is those 2 jack inputs. I could just snip them off the PCB, and with the enclosure empty, I could test if the switch was going to fit, and it was looking pretty close until I realized that there was another nut on there, so I could take that off and try again. It was still looking pretty close, but luckily the bottom bit of the enclosure has a little recess in it that means that it can all fit together nice and easy. It looks like this is actually all going to work out. With the enclosure sorted, I could then turn my attention to the actual electronics. And I don't have any wire strippers, so I was just butchering the end of the cable with a pair of scissors, but it does the job. Before I get too carried away doing anything, I'm going to just try running this cable through the middle of the switch and then out to the output. I can do a quick test before I have to do any soldering. Fingers crossed this works, because if it doesn't work, I don't have the electronic knowledge to figure out how it all should work. So we're just going to give it a go and see what happens. So again, no wire strippers makes it very delicate to strip these wires. I did end up cutting them a few times and had to keep shortening them, but that's all right. I've got heaps of length on the cable. Thankfully, this switch has screw terminals, which makes things really easy to test out. I think we just connect the grounds and then we can give it a test. This end into the audio source, and then we plug the headphones into here, and then we try and play some music. So I can't hear anything at the moment, which is good, and then still nothing, and now it's playing. That's so good. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it though. Okay, so I think this is going to work. All I need to do is wire up this second one and then put it all in the case. I'm definitely going to make this look not like this though, because I don't really like the color and all the labels are wrong. So we'll see what we can do there. I was going to do the soldering first, but I've just realized that actually this cable, because it's thick at this end, I'm going to have to feed it through the case and then do the wiring with the cable already fed through. So I think I'm actually going to work on this first. Let's get to it. To prep the case for a bit of paint, I just gave it a quick sanding all over and then used some masking tape just to put it over all the little holes. I think realistically the only thing I needed to actually mask would have been the bolt holes that hold the 2 halves of the enclosure together, but I just, for some reason, I got a bit carried away and was taping absolutely everything with inside. I don't think it would have mattered if the inside got spray painted at all, but the original didn't have paint on the inside, so I was just trying to do the same thing. My selection of spray paint includes this singular can of grey primer, so it's not exactly the perfect thing for this. I don't think you're meant to use primer as a top coat, but after a few coats, it was looking pretty good, so I decided it was going to work. And it came out pretty clean. So with that looking all spiffy and nice, I could feed the cable through, hook that up to the switch, and then solder the last little bits together. I forgot to film the first solder joint that I did, and it came out fine, but please excuse the crustiness of the tip of my soldering iron. It's been through a lot of years of abuse. I need to get a new tip, I know. I need to figure out which one's which. It kind of like points towards the side that it's on, so when it's on the right, it's actually going to the left here, and when I put it over to the left, it's actually going to this one on the right. So I'm going to have to make sure that I line these things up correctly, but that shouldn't be too hard. So let's put all of these things into the case. So this one has to come over to this side, and then I somehow need to squeeze this one in on the other side. That's going to be very squishy. I feel like I want to make sure that these aren't touching. So I had to pull them out and try all over again. Come on. Yes. I can't really see if there's anything touching in there or not. I think we're just going to have to cross our fingers and see how we go, but that's kind of it. It's kind of cool looking. Might have to like fill these holes with some bolts or something. But yeah, let's give it another test, and then I can put the base on. The test went all smoothly, but I think it's a bit bland on the front, so I whipped out some masking tape to make some little stencils so I knew which side was which. They're a bit janky looking, but this is the best way I've got of making a stencil, so we're just going to go with it. Now, obviously, it would have been ideal to use spray paint here, but as I said before, I've only got that one color of gray, so I just did a few coats of acrylic paint and hair dried in between to try and speed up the drying time. I think I rushed it a little bit. The paint doesn't look quite dry here, but I don't really mind too much. As far as stencils go, probably pretty terrible, but in terms of vibes, I don't hate it. I think that's pretty clear. Headphones, speaker, headphones, speaker. Let's get it installed. Please excuse all the mess on the desk. I've got far too many cables, but I plugged it in and gave it a test. Let's fix that. Turns out one of my cables is just slightly dodgy, so I might need to replace it. But overall, it works. It works. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. And tested it out again. That's out of the headphones, and then finally all 53 of these coming from the speaker. It's honestly such a huge relief for this. That's so good. So there we go. I've got a physical switch now to choose between headphone and speaker output. I know this is probably not a very sensible build to a lot of you, but to me, the tactile nature of this switch is just so much more enjoyable than clicking through some menus. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.